Thanks, Charlie. Yes, I'm Gift Mposula and coming from the banking industry, financial services. So I'm responsible for portfolio management for clients within our segment, which is 60, if you look at turnover, 60 to 150 million, to be specific. And primarily also, doing service as well as our, turnover, not turnover, but the lending side of the client, where if you're looking for working capital finance, commercial property finance work, as well as credit in trade, you're also able to have a discussion with me, and I'm able to take you through what's required and build from there. So from an SME perspective, yeah, definitely playing a role to ensure that there's funding for individuals or businesses as they build their businesses. Well, I wouldn't say it was a conscious decision that I said, no, this is where I want to go. I think, I got an opportunity to get into the space, and I took on that opportunity. So we know how it is when you out there in the job market looking for roles, whatever will then come your way, you take that and you make the most of it. So I was afforded an opportunity to be part of a digital pilot for our bank, and through that got experience to see digital migration from traditional way of doing banking in branches to a branchless platform, where most clients would do their banking through the digital side, online banking. So yeah, through that transition, I was able to get exposure to digital, get exposure to how you manage clients, which equip you even on a business level, or giving insight to entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs to say, these are the things you look out for to build a sustainable business and formalizing your business. So the inspiration came from the business side, had a stint in entrepreneurship. I think we have spoken briefly on that, where I was part of a steelworks business. And that was also training ground to apply oneself in contributing to businesses. And also in the context of what we're speaking on now, social entrepreneurship. The challenges, I mean, dealing with different types of clients, and obviously you have to understand them and how they prefer things to be done. So it's really important. I mean, we're moving into the important, like looking at the essence of client centricity. So everything we do must be client centric. We must ensure that clients are happy. So they're not always, happy about certain things, but we find ways to do that. So that's one thing that probably comes up. Not being able to really fund businesses as much as we would like. Maybe there can be improvement in there, and the regulations or the red tape that may be there, we can work on that. The compliance aspects that need to be fulfilled to do that seamlessly, so that funds can be afforded for emerging businesses, especially those in the small medium enterprise. I mean, in the past week we were able to see one of our social entrepreneurs in the community, Ecolabs Africa, which was able to have launch their first ICT center in Shawelo, Soweto. So we want to see more of that and really support such businesses that give back to the community. And also, Charlie, speaking on infrastructure development, we're able to see infrastructure in the tech space come to fruition, and that supports a quality education. So for me, it's been about entrepreneurship. Inspiration it's come from the entrepreneurial side, and also just having systems and processes in place which are important for a sustainable business. Initiative through Mposula, and we're grateful for the platform as well for this. And yeah, I think as we go along, the tech aspects we'll out and we'll get there. Social entrepreneurship, in my understanding, is to solve a societal problem using business. So using entrepreneurship. So it's purely looking at where there's a lack in our spaces, in our communities, and saying, let me find a solution, and also being able then to be profitable in running that solution. I mean, of course, we do have social entrepreneurs that are not for profit, but it can be, you know, one that is both profit and also looking at the social impact, and they call it the double bottom line, where you're basically be able to generate profits through that social entrepreneurial initiative, and then secondly, you are also able to create social impact, make a good impact on the community, and see lives change through your solution. Yeah.
The significance of social entrepreneurship in our country.
Okay. Yeah, I think we all are aware that social entrepreneurship impacts the community in a positive light. Are we able to create employment if we have businesses that support the upliftment of individuals and the environment as well? Let's just see. Can you mute if possible?
Can you mute your sound, because
are you able to mute from your side, Lebo? Okay. All right, thanks. So yeah, as I was saying, it's very critical, because with entrepreneurship, we're able to support, you know, government initiatives to, you know, deliver services to the people, because through those businesses there can be sort of partnerships that can come, you know, together, and then you're able to see people get employed and get the right opportunities for advancement, and that's a key area. We're sitting on about 66%. Lebo, are you able to mute Charlie as well? Okay. Yeah, we're able to see people, you know, get employed, and it's better for production. Businesses start making money because now the economy is moving. There's transition into that. And I mean, from the context of where we are now with, you know, increased interest rates and so forth, it's actually going to provide relief to really support businesses and provide sort of funding for them to grow, because they're helping towards alleviating the challenge of unemployment, recessionary pressure, you know, around. So definitely, yeah, social entrepreneurship is a key aspect in the context of where we find ourselves in South Africa.
okay, you know,
is difficulties in accessing funding, and this is closer to home, of course, because we in the financial services side, we have certain requirements. You know, for example, you'd need 3 years annual financial statements in order audited. You need we need a track record of how well your revenue has been for the past 3 years. Do you have collateral in place for securing funding? Maybe you're looking for an overdraft of R1 million. Do you have a bond in place worth that much, which can be put up as collateral? So you have those aspects, but I think, yeah, just, you know, the a bit of red tape that we, as I spoke, you know, earlier about, to say we need to ensure that we have better ways of ensuring that, you know, small businesses, township businesses are being afforded the opportunity to build and expand from where they are. And I think that the element of businesses being informal, you need to like move them to you know, to be formalized. Hence, we have fintechs coming into the space and really you know, making an impact there, because they see the value of the unbanked market in communities, and there's money there. You know, there's money in our communities. We're seeing malls come up in townships. We're seeing a lot of expenditure that's gone into the township. So, but I think going to that, you know, your question, it's accessing funding, one, then also creating a sustainable you know, social entrepreneurship venture. I think we're talking social entrepreneurship. So how do you create a sustainable social entrepreneurship business? In as much as we're looking at social impact, but you have to be profitable. You know, they say on average it takes 3 years before a business moves from break-even level to starting to make a profit. So how are these businesses sustaining those 3 years and ultimately seeing a turnaround in the third year going forward. Turning the profit while still making a positive impact. When you do, the social, you address the social impact of empowering the youth or empowering the community, but are you making a profit, and how sustainable is it? How do we create revenue streams that will support the core form of income that you're getting? And if it's issues like of getting donations and so forth, how sustainable is that model? So those are the challenges that a social entrepreneur would then face. And then you're actually competing with larger enterprises. So they, with that, the level of competition that's there, sometimes as a small business, you put in a tight spot, and you have to find, very creative ways to actually differentiate yourself from the market, and then be able to capture part of the market. Case in point, we had Capitec move into the industry, which was dominated by the big four, and then they had to find ways of getting into it. They had to simplify their products. They had to make them affordable. They had to be transparent in their fees, those kind of aspects. So even as a social entrepreneur, you need to look at what your competitors are doing and how well you can do, how you can improve on your business model so that you can remain competitive and be sustainable in the long term. There's a social entrepreneurship course with the Gordon Institute of Business Science, which would be a good program that just sort of comes to mind. You can get into that. But I mean, as I say, entrepreneurship is not just, it will be a just knowledge that will support what you're doing. It goes way beyond just formal education to actually get into the entrepreneurial space, social entrepreneur, and build from there. It just takes, one's approach, one's personality, one's drive towards running a business. It goes way beyond programs. But how we can support them, we can have digital literacy initiatives that give guidance to emerging entrepreneurs, or even beyond digital literacy, learning about money management as a business, how to be sustainable in the long term, how to build your business model. It really starts with educating people more to support what they've initiated. They had this great idea and it's solid, but how is there support from, firstly, also a capital perspective to actually have them build this business, and also from an education perspective to say, how is your bottom line? Are you gaining traction in your sales? Are you pricing a bit higher than the average market, and then hence you're not seeing any growth? So those things have to then be addressed. So it's education, support from a perspective, and I think those are the ones that really stand out to support social entrepreneurs.
In your view, what is the significance of skills development for emerging social entrepreneurs, and why?
Okay, skills development is quite significant. It's very important to be knowledgeable about the space you're in. So, I mean, there's I think we highlighted some, we had a discussion about, is it important for now you go and study and do a honors in a new venture creation, or do a master's in new venture creation, and that will make you this really strong entrepreneur. I think it's part of equipping yourself, but it goes beyond the formal education. In my view, you have to really apply yourself. It's more, in a practical sense. There's a lot of things that you have to implement to be sustainable. It goes with the person's ability, person's drive, person's passion to see things through. Then that part of the educational part comes in. As I said to you, you have matriculants. People who just matriculated are now multi-millionaire business owners, multi-billionaire business owners. It's such a fascinating thing that I picked up, from my readings and stuff, to say, wow, these people are not, they don't have honors or or whatever masters, and not discounting the importance of education. It's very important to educate yourself to really thrive. But I'm not saying that is the primary catalyst to excel in entrepreneurship. Though, I mean, there's another flip side of it. You may be getting into a work environment, get exposure in a specialization, whether you are an IT specialist and so forth, or a platforms creator or designer. And with that, you have a great skill, which can be translated into your own consulting business. So definitely, that's equipping you then to run your own business. So there are two ways to it. You can gain the skill in corporate in that space, and then apply yourself later, which is really ideal in the space in the space that we are in now. Post millennials, looking at millennials and the stages that have come, we see now there's a growth in individuals, youngsters starting their own businesses. Gone are the days where you actually purely looking at working within a company and work towards retirement and so forth. There's also a route that one can say, let me gain a proper skill, let me do coding, and be strong in this coding to a point where I generate revenue for myself by my trick. I'm starting to earn money from the coding things that I do. So that is in essence a business that you then establish in an individual basis. So yes, I think in that context, skills will be important depending on the kind of skill and the niche market. But I think from a formal education perspective, it's not extremely, I think it's not primary to say I need this kind of qualification that will make me a great entrepreneur, unless it's like me having the skill and I say, okay, to enhance the skill set, I'm going to do this particular qualification to take me further, to consult. So it's an interesting question. There's a lot. I think our guests here are free to share their views here on the chat. And thank you to Dr. King Costa, who's just shared his views here. We've got Mposula from Ecolabs Africa, who's also joining in the discussion together with the Ecolabs team. We thank Mashudu, we thank other individuals that are actually coming through here. That's basically how I see it. Skills and development is key, but really look at it in all these contexts from a social entrepreneurship perspective.
Yeah, I feel like I've still.
Township economy is critical. As I've stated earlier, there's really immense growth that we are seeing in the township market. At first, it seemed like it was neglected by the banks, but now there's obviously scope to get into that area. There's good purchasing power in the area, as I was saying, where you see malls coming up over the years. Great expenditure in certain stores. I think you remember we have our discussion around the expenditure in certain stores. Shoe stores doing better than your bookstores. So there's those kind of things that you look at, those trends in the communities that you see, and then you leverage from, or you apply yourself as a business to say, this is how I'm going to target my clients. But yeah, the township economy is key. Think of the Township Entrepreneurs Alliance that also was formulated by one of the gentlemen from Tembisa. He's also really pushing that, and it shows that there's scope for further growth. And I talked about fintechs, how fintechs are going into that space, and you get the banks acquiring fintechs, through acquisitions and all, to say, I want to target that market in the township. I'm not as agile enough maybe to secure that market, but through a fintech, I'm able to actually get into that space more effectively and see value. So in that context, definitely you can now see the trend of growth because of that, and really looking to formalize these businesses, these unbanked businesses, the informal the lady on the street selling fruits and vegetables and so forth. I'm really looking to support them, because that fraction that they are putting in day to day contributes to the economy in a bigger scale, given the demographics that we have in our country. So yes, there's value there.
Because with also having this businesses the chat webinar, ne, I had also had a vision of, if I can put together entrepreneurs, different entrepreneurs with whatever that they are doing, that we can work together, so to circulate the money, and work together. I feel like that's we can grow the economy like that, because I feel like okay, there's also this thing ya gore, because some people feel that black entrepreneurs, they baleka, and therefore they don't take their business seriously, and therefore nka se ba support, and rather ke ye go upmarket business, you know what I mean? So like,
Yes.
what do you
Yes.
think we can do better to actually try and be like, give this person a chance, they are trying, you don't always get it right.
Mm. Yeah, it's a good point that you make, that we will tend to say, we'll get a certain kind of service in a certain upmarket community than in the township community. So to address that, I think the level of, I don't know, from our perspective as consumers, but our hope is that we'll have a business that is, prides itself in excellence, prides itself in excellent service and professionalism. And you have guys, I mean, on social medias and platforms, there's a gentleman I saw was selling, he's a graduate, but, never got an opportunity to get into the workspaces, started his own business, sandwich business, highly professional, well dressed, being there in the communities, being in taxi ranks and selling. But you look at the picture of how this person has put together that business. So that level of professionalism and the context of where, this person started the business, it warrants us to then be there to support those kind of business, because you can see that there's a vision, and there's practicality to start with what you have. It's very critical to start with what you have. But I agree with you. We need to work on supporting our businesses. But for us to support, we're also expecting a certain level of service. There has to be some standard of service that you can actually say yes. It can't be saying, yeah, I want to support my fellow brother in the business here, or brother or sister in the business here, but the quality of the products are not there, the service is not there. There has to be that. They still have to work on that part, and then definitely see growth going forward.
And how can we motivate or encourage the youth to participate in social entrepreneurships?
It's great. It would be great for youth to get into social entrepreneurship, because they are able to firstly deal with the issue of unemployment. I mean, as an individual, say I'm a youth, I don't have a job. One way would to just start a business. I create an employment, I create a business for myself, which will then employ others. So it's critical to just continually work towards a solution that will empower communities and so forth. Yes, it starts with you, and you want to see yourself thrive. But then the beauty about social entrepreneurship is that it's going to impact in a broader scale, and sustainability is there if it addresses societal problems. So I'd like to encourage them to start small with what they have. At times you don't have the capital. We have businesses that we're aware of that didn't have the capital, but today they're speaking a different story of how they've turned things around. Let it not be about the capital issue only. Work with what you have initially. Get the mentorship from the different institutions that are out there. I think there's one that came up which was really, got my attention, and I wanted to have a closer look. Ebonuko Foundation, which really is looking at empowering the youth through education. It's mentoring, bursaries, donations, expos, and so forth. I mean, Ecolabs is doing, providing quality, infrastructure development. We've got a math center in South Africa, improving math, science, and technology. So, those that the youngsters can actually sit down, brainstorm, and run with those ideas, and really be active citizens, and move away from being idle, because that element of, when you start being idle, then you get influenced to do certain things, and maybe now you're starting to see the trend towards drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and so forth. So we want to really see transition, and encourage them, run workshops like this, or seminars like this, create platforms where we all meet, and to guide youngsters that want to get into business, and then give guidance, financial management, how you manage your finances, how health of the business lies in the finances. So if your finances are not right, then you can't grow as a business. So there has to be scrutiny there. So we have to continually speak those aspects. How are you automating your business to make it easier? Revenue leakages put aside, but generating more revenue from automating, no longer manual processes, but automation, and it's making you money. It's saving you way more costs. So those kind of discussions need to be held with our youngsters, entrepreneurs, and so forth. I'm saying youngsters. I'm a youngster myself. But young at heart. But yeah, that's the situation. We just need to keep doing it and helping, and contributing, educating, and supporting them.
What social problems have you identified, and how are you responding to them in your community?
Social problems. If for me to respond, I think I like what she says, that it starts with you and your passion, what you're really passionate about. I think that's what is going to sustain you, to keep you going even through the tough times, because running a business is a huge sacrifice on many levels. I mean, from family perspective, if you have a family, or okay, having the right balance and so forth. You need to say, it's really worth all my efforts to build this business, but also be able to strike that right balance, because ultimately building that business means, and building that legacy, it needs you to also be in the good space. So I think as an individual, you need to have the right balance. But yeah, given the urgency of it now, there are some things that you would then sacrifice, as I would speak to you about it, and saying, if it means you are changing the whole family tree in this initiative that you're pushing, so it's probably worth all the effort that you can put in, and sacrifices along the way, to say, at the end of the day, I've built a sustainable business that will be generational. So the next generation will be empowered by what we've done, specifically from the family and the community. So yes, the sacrifices that need to be there. Advice to also find a business model that works, that is sustainable. Find a business solution that speaks to addressing a societal problem. It's nice to have demand for your efforts. Some businesses, there is a certain demand, but if you have one where there's a niche, and that I need to for instance have food on a day-to-day basis, so a business selling bread is quite a good one, in the sense that there's that sustainable aspect to it. Cash flow is there, you know what I mean? So those kind of things, finding a right business model that will be sustainable, that will address a need, is critical. I think be there to attend, sessions of, as Khumuto, was talking about, getting access to information, availing yourself to be on those platforms where you can find out more about running a sustainable business, ask the right questions, have a mentor that will give guidance, and yeah, you're good to go. And yes.
Before you recite, there's one question I forgot to ask, ne? Being in the corporate space, ne? What do you think the corporates can do to help the entrepreneurs?
How corporates can help is by getting to understand their business, small businesses better, using their solutions, digital solutions to understand their clients better, or let me say, businesses that they support. They need to understand their cash flow cycles and all that, the kind of clients that they have, and then have products that are tailored for those businesses. If you can't meet that kind of provision from a service perspective, then you can actually, as I've said, have another business, small business that's penetrating that market well, and then work in conjunction with that to fulfill that need. So, yeah, understanding the dynamics from an economic policy perspective, where we are, and seeing that there should be scope to support entrepreneurs so that they can change things around, because in the end the whole system is going to benefit from a productive nation, productive citizens. So being able to create employment and loosening the barriers for obtaining funding, taking a bit of a risk to fund small businesses, and then we'll see the traction. But I know that there has to be a risk and return. So if it means there will be losses on the banking side, then yeah, it's a concern. But how, I believe there's still scope to find mechanisms to put in place to say, if this overdraft that has been provided is not paid for in this way, then we obviously have a limit reduction program that will happen, taking away 100,000 a month on the business, on the 1 million that you own, for example. So have mechanisms that will support and the business can also mitigate any concerns that may transpire from there. Right. Lebo, you're saying we could go ahead?
Yeah, so yeah, sorry. So yeah, I'm saying you can go ahead and recite something nice for us in closing.
Great. And I think, as I said, we had one of our esteemed guests, founder of the Global Center of Academic Research, Dr. King Costa. We'd like to thank you for joining us today. So there's a piece that was written regarding the impact of research in the space. They say data is the new oil, and for you to get the data, research is critical. So here is a piece here which I'd like to share during a graduation recently. It reads, "Today we celebrate our esteemed academics, the cold winter's day giving way to the warmth ignited by the fire of learning we witness today. With these accolades, we pray that God grant you the wisdom in your journey of purpose-driven living, instilling the GCAR mission of the highest order, global research for impact across borders, many lives transformed through groundbreaking solutions on digital platforms. Research papers and Google Scholar certifications serve as a basis upon which we stand tall. Knowledge is power. That is our foundation. A displaced nation replaced by research agents of change. From the Africanization of policy formulation to monitoring and evaluation and social transformation, GCAR continues to raise the status quo, so behold a new dawn of academic excellence unfolds through ethical leaders fully equipped to break the mold. So halala to the graduates of GCAR 2022, halala. And yes, thank you so much for everyone who has joined us. I'm hoping my host is not appearing. And now she is, and Khomotso's here. And I'd like to also share one as a closing, just one more. It goes, I'm vigorous in my approach. I've been waiting for this moment, taking notes. Captain of the ship, I've got to stay afloat. And now I'm close. Thinking of the vision on the island, clear mind as we listen to the silence. Your life is blessed beyond measure. We search deep for treasure, never crack, relieve the pressure when embracing this collective, finding the momentum within the discipline of embarking on a journey like an alchemist emerging. I welcome the diversion because this route was never purposed, slowly calculating if it's worth it. I'm earning stripes as I work through the night, fully independent, and that's the benefit of basking in the light. So who are you going to ask for advice? First, start with the plan God has for your life. Then you'll see the changes. See it in their faces when you smile, when they smile. Because fulfilling your dreams is so profound, like, wow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so awesome. I enjoyed